I told him, my bad. How y'all doing? How y'all doing?
I'm on the phone all of a sudden. I just feel this presence all over me.
Clap your hands if you love Jesus. Clap your hands if you really love Jesus. Yeah.
Hey, how you doing, man?
I am well. Gentlemen, welcome to another Warriors United, our 20th episode. Woo! Awesome. Our 20th, we are so glad to have you all watching us, joining us. It is another great day. Gentlemen, how was your weekend?
Oh, I was great. I mean, I was singing solos the weekend. So I had the microphone in my hand for like 3 minutes, and I had to sing a solo, Jamaican solo for the youth department. Yes, he went well.
And I have to agree, it went really well. He got the audience pumped in the sanctuary. He made a little bit of a move with him also.
But the ironic thing about it was that song I sang with Simone, and this time I sang with her two daughters, Eva and Samara. So that was Grandpa
so
getting old.
You sing every 20 years?
Every 20 years.
He's the soloist that never ends.
Yeah. That's all I'm allowed. What about you, Mark?
It was a great weekend. Again, I always tell people when you're not at work, it's always a good weekend, no matter what you do. It was relaxing, but still working at the same time, having fun as usual.
Yeah. Any roof jobs? Let's go.
Yeah, I was not on a roof this week. I thank God for that. It was kind of a crazy week for me outside of the roofing job, so I didn't get a chance to get there. I will be on a roof probably this week, a couple of them. So, yeah, pray for me. But I am so glad that Manchester United played the game.
That was a game. I watched it when church was over. I watched the end of the game, extra time. I was so happy for Man United. Wow.
It was a game.
It would be nice if they could do Premier League the same way.
I'm sorry, if it's your first time watching, we are soccer buffs. So that's why you see a little soccer logo in our field.
FC.
Yeah. You know, Mr. Christ is also
if Man United could have done this throughout the season and not just the FA Cup.
Do you think you would take your daughters to a soccer game?
Which one?
In England. No. In England. Would you be safe to take your daughters to a soccer game in England?
I don't think so.
Yes, they'd be plenty safe.
No, I don't know about that. You would know better than I would.
Why don't we ask them?
Speaking of daughters, that is a good segue. So tonight we are so honored and privileged to have some beautiful young ladies who are joining us tonight who happen to be our daughters.
Yeah.
Hi.
Before we get you to introduce yourself, you got to tell people to do what?
Yes, people. We see that you're doing it already. Please press the share button, press the like button, and subscribe. He was speaking in tongues, but it says subscribe. Yes, share, like, subscribe. We love you all. We appreciate you all. Let's get back to these young, beautiful ladies.
Right. So this is episode 20. We're talking about a ladies' perspective. So we have some lovely ladies. You guys want to introduce yourself? We'll just go right into it.
We'll go from in this order, like church. Simone, Holly, Sabrina, and Tamar. Okay? Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Simone. I am the oldest child to Simon and Rachel. I don't know what else you want to know. I am married. I have 3 children, and I've been married will be 13 years on March 25th. Yes.
All right.
Okay.
And the next young lady is no stranger. You've seen her before. Go ahead and tell the people who you are.
HBB.
Yeah, you.
HBB.
Yes.
Holly Vegan Brodus.
What? Bacon? Okay. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm Holly Brodus. My parents are Mark and Anita Brodus. I am a high school English teacher. I love English. I love psychology, and I have a younger brother named Malachi.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Sabrina, come out to play.
On the Warriors.
I'm Sabrina Rollins. I am the third and baby of the Rollins clan, which is Rachel and Simon Rollins. My older sister right there is Simone, and then I have a middle brother who's Simon.
What about, don't you have somebody?
A child? I have a daughter, almost 3-year-old, named Aria.
Yes, Aria. Okay, Rupert.
Not me, Tamar. Go ahead, Tamar.
Hi, my name is Tamar. I am the daughter of Rupert and Vivian Johnson, and I am the oldest child of them. I have 2 other siblings. Actually, I have a lot of other siblings, but in the household right now, I have 2 other siblings and then 3 that live inside the household.
How many do you actually have? How many siblings do you have?
5 total.
Oof.
Oof.
They're not on me, though. They're not on me. Not on me.
Go ahead, Abraham.
It's like if I said,
Go ahead, Abraham.
if I said help yourself, I mean, no, that don't sound right. No. But you know one thing they also, some of them kept saying, I'm the oldest. Shall we go somewhere with being the oldest? Anybody want to say something about?
So let's talk about it. What is it like to be the oldest sibling?
Oldest sibling.
I feel like for me, it's a lot of pressure. I feel like in a good way, sometimes a good way, sometimes a bad way. I enjoy being the oldest. I enjoy in a way where I feel like I'm a role model. My siblings come to me for advice. Yes, advice. I feel like negatively, though, sometimes we can be used as a guinea pig as the oldest child. So I feel like we get treated a lot differently sometimes than the younger kids. For me, in my life per se, me and my brother got probably a little bit. I got the worst treatment because I'm the guiney pig. But
treatment. Whoa.
Let us speak. Continue, Simone, please.
I mean,
treatment.
When I say treatment, I mean I got in trouble for a lot of things that my younger siblings did not get in trouble for. So it was kind of just like, with me, it was you're punished. Don't talk back to me. You got to be home by this time. But I just feel like it's a lot of pressure. And also being the oldest child comes with your parents. Like, I feel like I've been nominated as a family administrator. Like, Sabrina's smiling because she knows it's true. Daddy knows it's true. She's smiling. Everyone in my family calls me and texts me to schedule appointments, to help them with something, to help them do something.
Okay, I won't do it no more.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will. Did I say I minded? I didn't say I mind doing it. I'm good at it.
Oh, okay.
But it automatically comes with.
Does anybody else agree here? Does anybody else? Because Tamar keeps shaking her head and he's like, okay, say something.
Yeah, I can piggyback off of her comment. I think that we're just held to a higher standard. Again, because we are the guinea pigs, we're the first ones. We're like the trial run. But I can also say that there are some like positives to being the oldest, because you get to see your younger siblings like, I guess, grow into the people that they are today. Or like, I for example, when I was younger, me and my younger sister didn't have like an incredible relationship. Like it was just really rocky. But like seeing her grow up, we grew closer. I get to see her strengths, her weaknesses, like the difference from when she was younger till now. Like it's a joy, but it could also be a burden at the same time.
So what do you have to say about that, Miss Holly Brodus?
Yes, please.
I'm waiting for this one.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say I agree with everything that was already said.
It's too easy.
Really, they
Agree
pretty
with
much
what?
said it all. I agree that it's yes, I agree with Sharon. I agree
No,
that
no,
it
no, no,
is
no.
tough
We
being
do.
the
No,
oldest.
no, we do that.
You do that.
Not you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, we do that.
My
You
bad.
may read it,
I'm
but you
sorry.
keep it to yourself.
Our stuff.
Sorry.
It's okay.
That's okay. That's okay.
Okay, my bad. I'm sorry. Anyway,
Continue. Go ahead, continue.
okay, but yes, I do agree that we are looked at as role models. But for me personally, I've experienced feeling as though I wasn't a good role model because I'm the oldest and I have not achieved certain things that my brother has. So I actually felt a little bit of the opposite. So I felt as though I should be farther along in my life. And so I felt like I wasn't doing my job as the older sister because I haven't accomplished certain things. So on that hand, yes, I feel like I am expected to do certain things, but I've also questioned, have I been a great role model for my younger brother?
And I would say you have been.
Yeah. And so coming from a different perspective here, okay, so everybody, we're going to get some texts now anyway. So Sabrina, you being the youngest, what perspective you have? Because the screen's going to start rolling in a minute. Go ahead, help yourself.
I mean, I do somewhat agree. Like I said, Simone is definitely the family administrator. I will 100% admit that. I text her almost every day for something. So I do agree with that. And there's a lot of pressure. I will say, and generally I agree, but I want to say in religious families, or I'll speak for my family, or Christian families, Simone and Simon, or my two older siblings, they were heavy in church, heavy. So they were very involved. And so that expectation for me being the youngest sibling, I can admit I'm not as involved as they were during that time. So, but they're looking at me like, you need to join the choir, you need to be on the dance team, you need to go to every event, which is it's a lot of pressure to do exactly what the older siblings did. Even if you don't want to do it, it's like they had to do it. So I feel like it is a lot of pressure being the younger sibling as well in church, because I'm supposed to do what they're doing. Simone was on the choir. She was on the youth choir. She was on the dance team. She was on the step team. She was on something all the time. She was always in church. So I feel like it's a lot of pressure being the younger child, having to keep up with that as well. So I don't know, I agree mostly though.
Was it that way in school too? Because for me, I'm the youngest child, and for me in school was the same way because my sister was very bright. So every single time I sit into a classroom, oh, you're Deborah Johnson's brother. You must sit in the front. I'm like, no, not the front. No. So,
Yep, no, I agree. Even with sports, I mean, because I did sports, my sister and my brother did sports. My sister was track. My brother does every sport under the sun, and I do sports. So even in that aspect, I was always having to be under this umbrella of achieving more school-wide. Even with my driving, my sister, she had a couple tries, but my brother, he got it on the first try, and I was like, I can't not get it on the first try now, because then So it's always that. Well, they did it. They did this. They did that. So
I agree with you on that, Sabrina, because being a younger, I had the same thing in school. I had the same class my brother had. Oh, you're Earl's brother. So they expected for me to do the same thing that he did, if not more. And I resented that because every class I had was like, oh, you're Earl's brother. Like, what does that mean? Now, I'm me. I'm not him. I want to have my own identity, as well as Holly can attest where it said, oh, you're Brodus' daughter, especially when it comes to church events. Everywhere she goes, oh, you're Brodus' daughter. I don't want her to have that pressure because she's my daughter, but it just happens.
Well,
Yeah. I mean,
I was the oldest in my family too. I got you, Simone. You hold that. See, I was the oldest in my family too, so I can understand what they're saying because being the oldest, being the first, you go to church, you play sport, whatever you do, you got to watch because your brothers and sisters are watching you, and whatever you do, they're gonna do. And if they do it wrong or get in trouble, it was your fault because if you showed them the right way, I saw you do this. And now they following you. I'm like, oh man.
yeah,
But at the same time, they do come to you and ask you for advice. They come and the generational thing, though. Let me go with that. So, with the growing up, what do you all think about the generation, though, from Simone? I'm just saying it was every 4 years. So, give a thought on that. Do you think there was something to do with that too? The change in times.
Tamar, did you want to say something?
No?
Yeah, I
You
do
have to
think
ask Tamar because she's not going to volunteer.
Oh, leave her alone, Uncle Simon.
the different generations do make they do influence I would say, I guess, the way our parents parented, the way that they grew up. Like, for example, me growing up, I played outside. I had to be home like when the street lights came on. I had a phone when I was in 5th grade, but it wasn't the same type of phone that they have now in 5th grade. Like, there's just a lot of different factors that play into it. So yes, I do think that the different generations or the different times do play a part.
That was because there wasn't the type of phones back then, Tamar. Yeah,
I know, but it's just like an example. It's just but that also, yeah.
Megaphone.
Tamar.
Yeah.
Tamar had a nice
Well,
phone.
like, for example, okay, so I didn't have access to Instagram on my phone or TikTok or any of that stuff. Like, I just had a slide up, I can just text, and that was it. There was no instant access to the internet type of thing. But that's just neither here or there. It's just a point.
No, what was wrong with that? You needed more?
No, I didn't need more than that. I think that was perfect for the time that I was at.
Well, Tamar, you just said something interesting, which is good. Since we're living in this social media era, how do you guys feel about that? Do you find it to be a positive or negative thing? Because now you hear a lot about, cyberbullying. You hear about people committing suicide because they're being bullied over social media. People always want to have so many likes, so many followers. What do you guys think about that in your generation?
I think it's a positive and a negative. I'm not really leaning more so to one. I think it's positive. The positive part of it is the networking and things that you reconnecting with people that you haven't seen in years. With the negative part, it's addictive. It's very addictive. My 11-year-old, she she loves technology. She loves TikTok. I will not let her get a Facebook or Instagram. And she's the influence that they receive in school. Well, she has one. These friends have these. Why can't I have it? You have to explain to them why I don't think you're ready for this yet. The exposures that they're getting at such a young age, I couldn't imagine being exposed to some of the things they are at their age. It's crazy. Like Tamar was saying, I didn't get my first phone till I was like 14, and it was a Nokia. All I could do was text and call, which is really what a phone is supposed to be used for anyway, is to text and call.
We'd be right then. So we'd be right.
So now, I had no problem with my phone.
Thank you.
Back then.
But you got one.
Now, so many different apps and everything that these kids can get involved. I think that's definitely a generational thing, because we always reflect back to, man, when I was growing up, we couldn't even have this. We couldn't do this. And so getting with the times and everything is, to me, it's the hard, especially having children. It's very hard, but I also think it's a positive side, like I said before.
Yeah, I think exactly what someone was saying. It's a tool at the end of the day. It just depends on how you use it.
How do you use it, Tamar? No, just joking.
Oh my God.
Well,
Tamar actually, leave her alone. She actually said something without no one prompting, and now you're gonna jump on her.
y'all don't know Tamar like I know Tamar. She's sitting there so nice and sweet with a smile. Like, that's not Tamar. That's this clone sitting there.
The clone.
Get her with her family. See the difference in Tamar. Get her with all the other her cousins, and see her be totally different. Tamar is not that. This is sweet Tamar. This is, oh Lord. Okay.
Who's up next? Because we're gonna have to start answering some of these questions. So who's up next? Who's your house?
I think how you about to say
We have this one.
No.
Okay. Oh, Holly. This person
Oh,
says, I think you know her well, says Holly was and still is an excellent role model for Matt. She really looked out for him growing up, and I'm thankful for Matt's big sister. Oh,
Thank you, Mom. Thanks, Mom.
oh.
I want to go to this one because this is kind of important, ladies. So I think all of you have brothers. Yes, all of you have brothers. And he's saying because he's an only boy, he was treated different. Do you think it was? Do you think the boys treated differently, better or worse, or what?
I think it's different, completely different.
Like how different? Better, different, and easier.
No,
Harder?
Brina, I see your mouth. Brina, go ahead, Brina.
Specifically with mothers and sons, it is always going to be very different. I think that my brother can get away with murder with my mother. If I ask, I'm like, Mom, it's a crick in my shoulder. Can you just rub it? She's like, I'm tired. If Simon, 5 seconds later, comes in the room and says, Mom, can you rub my whole back? I'm just so sore. She's, lay down. Let me get Sabrina, get the lotion for your back. It's literally night and day. So I feel like it's a little bit now again. And then it's the only son for my dad. So that's a whole different feeling as well. So he has 2 girls. He has 2, is the older and the baby. So I feel like it's a completely different spectrum of feelings that are going on there. So
I agree. I mean, come on. I'm the oldest, and for what I'm told, he didn't cry when I was born, but he cried when Simon was born. So that's what I'm told.
Let me tell you this. Let me say this to you.
I'm your own oldest. See? You see, Holly? You see?
I cried for both.
See?
And I couldn't, and it was funny. I asked the question, do you want to cut the umbilical cord? I'm like, no, I'm good.
Oh, wait a minute. No. I cut all 3. I cut all 3.
You're a good man.
Because Rachel had all 3 C-sections,
right?
And I cut all 3. I watched them 3 times. And I love them all. Listen, Facebook, YouTube, The Nation. I love all 3 equally. All 3. All 3. And if you got any doubts, come see me after this show.
Yeah.
Right, Simon.
What?
Right.
Okay. He's talking to me? He's talking to you. Okay.
Exactly.
Boys
okay. Sharon says
that's a lot of wives.
boys are man. I'm gonna put the one back.
Whoa, I told you.
Let's go back to Sharon. Sharon says boys are treated
way different.
It depends.
Yes.
It depends.
No, they are.
So
especially by their moms.
Yes.
I have to agree. By the Tamar, you know it too. Tamar, you sitting there with your
My brother could come home, show up at any time of the night. My mom is either asking me to fix a plate for him or she's fixing a plate for him herself. It's
They will be in bed sleep. Talk about how tired she is. Hear that door open. Noah, let me go downstairs and get him something to eat. If I come home in the oven, it's good.
I'll say I don't think I think my parents treat us both the same. Like I don't ever recall a moment where my mom loved my brother more than she loved for me, or the same for my dad. I think the only thing for me was just the treatment of the younger versus older, not necessarily because I'm female and Malachi's male. I just think it's the older child, like you said earlier, the guinea pig, Simone, and then the younger child. So, I mean, if my mom was on here, I would, ask her to explain. And Dad, you can explain too if you want. But I personally feel like we were treated, loved on both the same.
I don't think like for my.
Oh, really, Malachi? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Malachi, okay. As he said, Malachi has joined the chat.
But wait a minute.
But Mal, you
The
go ahead
two
and say something
sons-
if you want.
No, the two sons said the same word.
Debatable.
Debatable.
So what does that tell you?
Well, okay, Malachi. Mal, I
Wait a
think you got it much easier than I did. But you go
We have
ahead.
another question here. Wait a
Wait,
minute.
no, I think
I'm gonna
Tamar
read this one.
had something.
Oh.
Tamar had something.
Oh no,
Okay.
no, it was basically covered. Yeah, I was just saying I don't think the love is different. I just think like it's the little things, the treatment wise.
There you
But I
go.
don't think the love is
Yeah,
different. Yeah.
Right.
good answer.
Yes.
Okay.
Hello, ladies. What would you do if a man treated you bad?
That's a
Dump
good
him
question.
right away. Dump him right away. Okay, I'm sorry. That triggered me. Okay, I'll tell you. Right.
It's that vegan in her. It's that vegan.
It wasn't even so much treated badly. I asked him once because I was just genuinely curious. I wanted to know why he was pursuing me out of all people, and he basically told me that he had no other options but me because everybody else denied him.
What?
I will not be your last choice. I will be your first choice or not.
Who is?
I did not appreciate that. I told him then he had the nerve to try to be my Valentine the next year. I said, no, sir. Do you remember what you said to me?
Wait, Mark. Mark, put the
I will
shotgun
not be your
down.
last resort. You understand?
Put
What?
the shotgun down. Put it down.
Yeah, we'll talk about it offline. Okay, I'm gonna tell you offline. Okay, I'm gonna tell you. Malachi already told you a story, so you already know. But I'm gonna tell you.
Oh, right.
Hey, Simone, do you have a story? Come on, man. Someone treated you bad. What did you do?
I got plenty. I got plenty. But I mean, I've had situations where, a guy, would just treated me bad, just was mean for no reason. And my dad, but I do have a story though, a quick story. I had a guy, he used to treat me bad, and we had a park across the way from our house, and I wasn't supposed to go there. And he was just like talking about, why are your parents so strict? My brother was warning me. Me and Simon, we were like this growing up, and he had my back. And he was over the park with me, and he said, "Man, Simone," he ran. Next thing I know, my dad is pulling up with a baseball bat. A baseball bat pulling up to the park. Simon's running full speed. He was trying to give me heads up. And then my dad comes with a baseball bat, and he was just like, "I'm gonna tell you, man, you got 2 seconds to get up out of here." And after that, it was just having the dad that I have. I love him dearly. I would want any dad to be there for their daughters the way my dad has been.
I thank God that you're back.
Your dad is a thug.
Sabrina got some stories too.
Yes, Sabrina.
Well, I'm divorced, so that's what I did. I did what I needed to do. No, but like I said, I left. But my dad, like she was saying, was there every step of the way, every court case, every whatever it was. He was definitely there. So, I mean, I don't know. But yeah, that's my perspective. Like Holly said, leave him. So that's what I did.
Exactly. Even don't tolerate disrespect.
Moving on.
Don't make anybody make you feel less than what don't settle for anything. I mean, I've told Sabrina this.
Question. That's the next serious question.
But you can let
Did
Tamar
any
finish.
of yeah,
Sure.
she got answer. Yeah, she has.
I was just shaking my head,
My bad.
agreeing with everything that they just said. You gotta go.
Obviously, you're not
dad,
being
your
Tamar right now, so you
biological
gotta
dad.
say something.
Yeah, no, he doesn't play.
Tamar, your biological dad would be dangerous. I think.
Yeah, he
that,
doesn't play.
yeah, that'd be tough. That'd be tough.
So my question would be, did you ever have a small relationship with a guy when they would tell you, don't tell your father?
Yes.
So they wanted to do something or say something, or you want to go somewhere, and they would tell you, don't tell your dad, or why are you going to listen to your dad?
Absolutely.
Malachi keep on up with debatable.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I say
Yeah,
for sure.
that
I think,
part. Yeah. Go ahead, Sabrina.
I don't know. I would say my dad's definitely an alpha, so his presence is definitely known. It's mostly they know that it's gonna be heat if they know that I'm upset. So I mean, even with my ex-husband, he didn't want my dad around at all. He didn't want around his house, near his house, anything. No, but he was fine with my brother. That it was my dad specifically. He was just didn't want to know connections at all. So of course it was times where it's like, are you really gonna tell your dad? Or you're gonna call your dad? Absolutely. Especially I'm a daddy's girl. Absolutely. I'm telling my dad so.
Yeah.
You got more questions? Or does Tamar have a story?
I don't have a story, but like Sabrina said, my dad has always been he's always been around. Whoever I was with at the time, they know that again, I'm a daddy's girl as well. So he's always there. So if anything ever happened, my dad is always there to back me up.
She has two dads, her biological dad and me, and I think that he would handle it one way, I would handle it a different way.
Yes.
But it definitely would be handled.
One way or another be handled.
Running from him, and then he'd be closing his ears to me because I just be giving him a whole bunch of information that he needs to know. But yeah, so yeah, that'd be interesting. But that's a good. But that leads to this question then. Oh, sorry, Mark, you had one.
No, I'm about to pick up what you're saying, so I'm about to ask this question: which parent do you think you can get away with more?
Oh,
My mom.
Which parent caves in to your request?
My mom. Well, for me, I know every child is different. Sabrina's gonna say my dad. I'm gonna say, but my mom, I feel like she caves in with me. Well, I take that back. It depends on the situation and what I'm asking for.
I'll say both. I
say both. It depends on the situation.
For sure.
Yeah, it depends.
Yeah, definitely depends on the situation.
It depends.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You can't use grandchildren as leverage, man. You can't use grandchildren as leverage because you know I'm going to say yes.
All the time.
No hesitation there. No hesitation.
All the time.
They'll come running for the grandkids. That's
whatever we ask about the grandkids is always a yes.
I think it depends on the situation. There's some things that my mom will completely cave with, and then other things with my dad. And there's some things I could bring to Pastor that he would cave with. There's some things I'd bring to my mom. Again, it just depends.
I always caved.
Yes, for the most part, you did.
Tamar, do it. Let her go ahead. Come on, let her do it. If she wants to, come on. That was my thing. Come on, talk. Yeah, so Tamar would bring. So Tamar would bring things in my hearing to her mother. So I would say, "Yeah, go ahead. Come on, it's okay. Let her go."
I didn't cave. It depends on the situation.
No, yeah, it really depends on the situation. I got a story. So we were little. My dad picked Malachi and picked Malachi and me up from daycare. We were riding by McDonald's. I said, Dad, can we get a Happy Meal? He goes, yeah. You get a meal at home and you be happy. I was like, really, Dad?
What?
I was like, really, Dad?
What?
That's
right. A meal at home. And then before we went to the store, he would say, don't ask for nothing. Don't touch nothing. If you don't have money to buy it, don't touch nothing. Don't ask for nothing. So he had his moments, but my mom too. Okay, we definitely weren't spoiled, but I do thank my parents for that because they taught us the benefit or the importance of working for what we want and what we have now. So I appreciate them both. They, there were times when you would ask for something, they might say yes, but it wasn't always like okay, free for all the time. So they had their moments, but like I said, they taught us the importance of that.
This is a good question.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
a woman. Go ahead, sir.
No, I thought he was going to read it. As women in different phases of your life, how do you deal with anxiety and continuing to work toward your goals in life? Cricket.
That's how you deal with anxiety right there. They're just quiet.
Nobody says anything.
That's a lot of
Having
crickets.
anxiety issues right now. They're like, ah.
I for me personally, I think I have an issue with fighting through it. So I don't, I guess, deal with it in the moment when I see it. But I am getting better at it now. But that was my biggest issue. But now I'm not ignoring it. I face it. I accept that I have it, or I accept that I'm feeling it in that moment. Prayer helps. I did go to therapy, and I'm still here and there in therapy. But yeah, just don't ignore it. Don't ignore it, because it'll just get worse. It'll fester.
Don't you do yoga?
Yes, I do yoga. I do. Working out really helps as well.
Yeah, I would agree. With my anxiety, I think I did sports a lot. That was a good outlet for me growing up, dealing with my anxiety. And then come to now, I do coach sports as well. And then it comes a ampled anxiety with being a mother and me being a single mom. You know, anxiety is always anxiety. I have to make sure she's good, I'm good, everything's fine. So but to Tamar's point, I kind of push it back. Sometimes I don't have time to think about that. I don't have time to dwell on my anxiety. But I have therapy is a great tool that I've used over the last few years, as well as exercise, contributing to sports and things like that. So that balance. And of course, you know, I'll go to church, give it to God, pray over it. It's I have a lot of good people in my life that I can just pray with or just chat with and kind of talk through it. One being actually my siblings. So I definitely use those outlets.
Yeah. I wouldn't say for me chronic anxiety. I'd say more stress. Not saying, I mean, just in case talking about chronic anxiety, but for me, stress. If I'm stressed about a situation, I'll definitely pray about it, and I'll go to people that I feel like I can speak to. You know, like you, Sabrina, I will give credit to Malachi. Thank you for being there for me, buddy. You know, when I need to chat, so I do appreciate you for that. Thank you, Mom and Dad. You know, and everybody that's been there for me. So I do appreciate you. Yes, Dad, I'll give you your props and credit. Okay. So you know, thank you all for being there for me.
Simone?
Sorry, I have a fussy toddler in the background. So you hear him, I do apologize. But I agree with I agree with what everyone says here. For me, for my anxiety, sometimes I do have to go for a drive, honestly. It helps me, especially with 3 kids. My husband is, you know, he's my venting partner. So he really gives solid advice, and he knows how to calm me down when I'm having an episode. But I pray. I have to do better with exercising, but that does help when I do. And therapy, of course, I believe is very essential. But for me, sometimes, honestly, when I'm having a moment, sometimes I do have to take a drive. And that kind of calms me. Take a deep breath. I listen to music to get me back in the right headspace to be able to parent and be the best wife and mother I can be. But also my family as well. Being that goes back to me also being the oldest. Sometimes being the oldest, I don't share what I go through. I listen. So I feel like I'm the advice giver. My brother, my sister will reach out to me, you know, when they need advice as well, but they also will give it. And so I have to, you know, they let me know, like, hey, if you're going through something, let me know. And sometimes, you know, my siblings, I think, are very wise. So even though they're younger than me, I feel like they're very wise and they can still give me advice. So not being afraid to reach out when you need help or advice, and you don't have to hold that in. My parents as well. I don't share what I'm going through. They have to pull it out of me. So if one day, like, it might randomly, I just bust out crying and like, I didn't even know you were going through anything. So, you know, it's kind of just like, it's hard for me to express that. So sometimes when I go for a drive, I can let all that out. That's personally for me as well.
Well, but what you just said struck some. Why is it that this generation find it difficult a conversation just like that with your parents? Why do you think that?
A part of it for me is that it's the time difference. So a lot of the things, some things they went through growing up that we didn't have to. And so now I feel like back then we juggle a lot more now. In my opinion, it's a lot harder for us now. Like back then, we lived with my grandparents growing up. We lived with my grandparents, so that help was always there. I don't have that now. Living parents. So I difference in, well, are they gonna look down on me and just say like, you got this and that's it? Or are they gonna give me that hardcore advice that I really need to hear?
Yeah, same. I'm not sure.
That's just my opinion.
For me, I'm concerned more so about the rejection. Like, will you actually receive what I'm saying? If it's something more personal, I don't. And it's just how I don't always come, and I'm also not sure that you understand everything that I deal with. And I say that not just because I'm like, no, overseer, you gotta listen, because there have been times I will, may go to one or more parents, one of the parent or the other. And I'll say, hey, have you experienced this? The answer is no, I haven't dealt with that before.
I would agree in some way, as like I said, I am divorced. I have a child, so I'm a single mom. My sister can't relate to that. My brother can't relate to that. My parents can't relate to that. So, but I will give accolades to my parents, is even though they are old school and in a variety of different ways, they have adapted over the last few years, especially after having grandkids. They've opened their mind to understand in some way, whether they get it at first or not. They're open to asking questions and trying to figure out what we are feeling, or how can they help in this situation, because it is different. So I do think in some ways it is hard, but in my situation with my parents, they've definitely come not full circle, but I'll say semi-circle around to be able to understand a little more.
No, I'm not going to ask for no full circle. I understand what you're saying. Semi. I mean, what is semi-circle? I mean, is that 50%?
Oh, somebody's getting salty.
75%?
Salty over here.
Listen, some things my dad is very, this generation is very soft. They like to say they're very sensitive. You can't say anything without it turning into a big thing, or you hate a certain group of people, or you hate this or you hate that. It's very sensitive. So, but my dad, my dad's like, toughen up. My dad's very old school. Get over it. Toughen up. Why are you crying? That's just how he is. So, that's what I'm saying. He has gotten a little more sensitive over the years, but he's a little rough around the edges sometimes, and I love him for it. So,
All right, Tamar, what do you have to say about that? I can't wait to hear this.
Me neither.
I can agree. The one thing I will say is that if you don't speak up, or if, in my case, if I didn't speak up, they would never be able to adapt to, I guess, the situations that I would be in, or my siblings, or anything like that. Like if I didn't say anything, or if they didn't learn from my experiences, they wouldn't be able to, have an idea of how to deal with the next situation with my sister or my brother, for example. So speaking up and definitely sharing regardless of the rejection, because I did get the rejection. But I think they learned from it. I learned from it. I was able to speak up more from it. I think I can agree with my dad and my mom being a little bit like, I guess, strict and like, you're fine, like suck it up. Not really suck it up, but like, for example, my mom growing up, she had bigger issues. Like she grew up in Jamaica, no shoes, like, that it was very impoverished. So like my issues are very small compared to, the stuff that she had to go through. So I think that's where the rejection comes in for me. Like my issues are so much smaller than the things that she had to deal with or the things that she had to go through. So I think that's what stops me sometimes from sometimes like speaking up or sharing how I'm feeling or the things that I'm going through.
Now, can I rebuttal, please? I mean, respond all these comments. First, every generation thinks their parents would understand. Me, Mark, and Simon thought our parents did understand. Every generation goes through it, so it's not anything different. What you will learn is that we may not understand the situation, but we understand the feelings. We understand the emotions. We may not, hold on. We may not come off as if we understand, but we do. Different parents will react in different ways, right? Some will say toughen up, not because they don't understand how you're feeling. It's because they understand that you can do it. They understand you're able to do that because we do know you. And then some parents will be like, okay, let's go through the issues here. What's making this happen, right? Some parents will do that. But we do understand, and this is where definitely girls are treated differently than boys. This is definitely where girls are treated differently than boys. But we do understand. The problem that I think that is the mix-up is that you don't want to hear our response because it may not be what you want to hear at the time. Right? It's not what you want to hear at the time. You want something else.
I don't know.
Yes. I guess it depends on the situation.
Yeah. I don't know about that, overseas. I don't know.
Yeah.
So you don't want to hear. You don't want to hear tough it up. You don't want to hear get over it.
No, but I do. I
can do that. I think it has to come with something else, though.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. I think
don't
something
just
else
leave it at get over it or toughen up.
No,
don't just leave it there because it's not going to help the situation.
Right. I'll call my dad and he's like, you know, you got it. You know, you're strong. You'll get through it. Of course, that's encouragement. I get that. But to your point, the other debatable part you said, that you guys understand our emotions. I want to say they can understand that I might be hurt, or they understand that I might feel lonely. Like they might have felt something of the sorts. But for example, for me, I'm going a really tough custody situation right now. They can't understand me having to be Lynn, so they can't understand exactly what I'm feeling of having that separation, but they can understand how heavy the hurt might be. So I feel like they can understand somewhat because they're going to correlate it to something that might have hurt them, but I don't think it's when you tell me, oh, I understand, because that can be very triggering when somebody's like, oh, I understand you're hurting. It's like, but you don't. But I understand that you're trying to understand. So, that's what I was saying is debatable.
Well, say, Simone. I know you want to say something.
I want to see you all in 20 years from now.
I was just going to say that it also depends on the circumstance. Like, female feeling more comfortable going to, like, where if I'm going through anxiety and depression, and if I go to my dad and he says, well, you're, like Sabrina says, you're strong, you can get through it. I believe you. I believe in you. That's fine and encouragement. But if I go to my mom about that, she's a female and she goes through it as well. So she can give me some tips and advice for how she overcame it and what she would do to get better from a female perspective. Just like, her response is different. And my dad will say, I'm not a female. He will say that. I'm not a female. I can't say how you're feeling. He will say that to me. And that's why I can understand from that point.
Always say
but
that.
Sometimes we don't.
I'm not a female.
Yeah. But sometimes if you just say, you're strong, you'll be fine. In other words, move on. We're back at square one. And then sometimes you feel like, well, this is why I don't express how I feel because of, you feel like, okay, well, if I'm going to just get the same old response, some things I'm going to hold in and just not bring up. You know?
Same. I don't, mom and dad, I don't share everything, and I probably won't. Just because I've already anticipated your response. So if I make a mistake,
Whoa.
well, I'm serious,
Whoa.
Dad, it's just the truth, Dad. I'm not going to tell you everything. I'm not going to tell you everything. Dad, you already know that. I'm not going to. Mom, I'm not. I love you, but I'm not. But the thing is, here's
Same here.
What do you mean you already anticipate a response?
Because Dad, I know you guys so well. So just like I'm not gonna tell you everything. So if I make a mistake, and the thing is, if I make a mistake, before I come to you guys, I replay the situation in my mind several times over and over and over again. So I'm like, oh, you should have done that. You should have done that. I should have done that. I should have done that. So I beat myself so much over it. So so by the time I get to telling you guys will just make me feel worse, because it's like you guys will say something that I already know. So if I made the mistakes, like, okay, Holly, you should have done this. So I know that you guys are going to tell me what I should have done, but I've already rehearsed that in my head so many times. So I'm already feeling bad about it. So it's like, why go to you guys where you're going to say the same thing I already told myself a million times earlier on in the day?
Did any of you ever say to yourself, Mom or Dad, I just want you to hug me, or Mom, I don't want you to talk, I just want you to listen? Did you ever say that?
I have.
Yeah.
Did they listen? Did they listen? Did they just listen?
I want to say the disadvantage. My mother is a psych major, so she's gonna talk regardless. She's gonna talk through that. So of course she'll hug me, but it's always followed up by
psychological.
Yeah, but I would say they both will just give me the hug. But my dad, he's I love my dad.
For me, I'd rather know what you're thinking. So
psychological at this meeting.
For me, I don't always like to ask them to listen, because with my parents, they may not always say what they're thinking, and that bothers me even more, not knowing what you're thinking. So I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna ask any questions I don't want to know the answers to. I can tell when the wheels are turning and they just don't want to say what they're thinking. That bothers me even more, because I'm like, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? What are you thinking? And so I was like, that's okay.
Right now, Mark.
Well, your mother said that she will hug you
and give a short lecture. So I don't want the lecture. So that's why I'm not gonna ask. I already know what she's gonna say. Both of my parents, I know what they're going to say already, so I'm not going to bring it up at all.
Well, all I know is that...
Let's go on to the next question, because Mark is going to have a lecture with Holly after.
Wow.
Ernell Lawrence.
Welcome,
Lawrence. For the single ladies, what is your opinion about traveling to meet new people, such as the opposite sex?
Like that should not be a thought. Why did I put that question up?
Ernell.
I hope not.
Let's go to the next question. No, go ahead and answer it. So what are your thoughts? Would you travel to meet the opposite sex?
Well, my dad's from England, so I'll go there. That's about it.
I don't know. He can
I'm
come
not
to me.
single, but no.
Yeah, I was about to say that he can come to me. Like, if it's the first time I'm meeting him, I wouldn't go there.
Oh, you're talking about to meet someone, or I would be willing to go to England to possibly, because it's a lot of people I know there. So I feel more comfortable, but I wouldn't just go randomly to different locations or countries or states to look for that. But
so if some guy, some pro football professional athlete came and said, hey, if you come to this island and hang out with me, I'll pay for everything. Your answers are?
You got the money to travel and come and see me.
Yep. Oh, wow. I would say add a couple to add like 10 kick. I got nieces and nephews. I got my parents. Bring them all. If they can come, then
we're all going together. I don't trust.
We're all going.
Right.
Bring the group. If you can bring the group.
Yeah.
All expenses paid. Oh, we got family vacation. It's great.
Traveling where?
Nowhere.
I think that one's aimed to Holly. Traveling where?
No, Mom. He's coming to me, Mom.
Oh, and Malachi, your brother's after you. When Holly vents to me, I usually ask, were you venting or do you want advice?
Yeah.
And I'll ask him the same thing. If he just wants to, just wants to talk, if he wants my response, I'll ask him the same thing.
Sometimes you need to vent without all of the extras.
Thank you.
Right. That's what I was saying. Sometimes you just want to vent without having feedback.
And that's why I asked the question. Have you ever said that, look, I just want to vent? Because a lot of times people do. I remember with my parents, I was probably your guys' age now, so I'm in my 30s. I was driving and I was fed up and I just vented. And my dad I said, no, I don't need you to talk. I just want to finish what I got to say. And sometimes you got to go there. Not because, especially at this age, because you are adults. And unfortunately, we as parents still see you as our child, right? True. We still see you as the little girl that we knew. So at this age, sometimes you have to hold that ground. And I'm not saying we'll be happy about it, but as young adults, you're going to have to one day hold that ground where I just need you to listen, because we've been honed, and you two of you are parents. We have been honed to raise you. That's what we've been honed to do. We've been honed to raise you. So even when you're 45, we're going to try to raise you. And you have to sometimes say, no, I don't need to be raised anymore. I need to be listened to. And there is nothing wrong with that. Nothing. We won't be happy.
2 minutes. We have 2 minutes left.
Oh, geez.
I just keep that, Rupert. 45. No, I'm not going to try to raise nobody.
No, I don't tell.
No,
okay. I don't tell Eric and Simone how to raise their children. Man.
You say that now, but when your daughter comes home talking about this happened to me, what? You're going to be there for them. You will.
And you'll be there. But,
well, we'll be there.
Well, okay, for you guys, no, but Tamar, you can come home.
Defend me, Simone. Defend me.
Come home.
I was shaking my head in agreement. I agree that you don't try to tell us how to raise our kids. And I think that all comes back as well as, for me, another thing being the oldest is that, I learned a lot personally. Me and my sister have an age gap. She calls me her second mom. I changed her diapers. She went everywhere with me. I picked her up from school. Things like that. So it kind of it had me prepare for motherhood. So I really don't have, and I've seen how my parents raised us. So I really don't have to go and ask for, parenting advice.
We have 1 minute to go.
In that regard. Remember, he doesn't get in our way.
Yeah, those who have children, you will be on this show in another 15, 20 years and say, ooh.
All right.
Ladies, we want to thank you for joining us tonight. We want to thank you. And we want to thank all of those who have sent your questions and continue to do what?
Malachi, Simon, and Sharon. Thank you for Brother Lawrence for typing into. We appreciate you. So,
and my mom.
What we're going to do now?
And your mom, right? So tune in next week. We'll have another exciting show, and we will say,
"You're welcome." Stay on.